Now to a CBS News exclusive. An Iranian-American journalist being held in Iran's notorious Evin Prison is making a plea for help. In a recorded phone call from inside that prison, Reza Valizadeh is asking for the U.S. government to help him and other prisoners, specifically to receive medical assistance. Valizadeh reported for Radio Free Europe prior to his arrest nearly 2 years ago. The U.S. government classifies him as wrongfully detained. That's an important designation. CBS News Chief Foreign Affairs Correspondent, Face the Nation moderator, Margaret Brennan joins me now. Margaret, what do we know?
Well, Major, when the U.S. and Israel began bombing Iran about 3 months ago, the regime shut down internet access. So that made it very difficult to get any word out on how the prisoners were doing and for Reza Valizadeh himself. We know that since the regime lifted the blackout recently, information has started to seep out. And that is how CBS News obtained this recording from within Evin Prison that was made in late May by Reza himself. And listen to it because it is a plea for help.
Before his arrest nearly 2 years ago, Iranian-American journalist Reza Valizadeh reported for the U.S. government-funded Radio Free Europe.
I'm Reza Valizadeh, your colleague who is sending you this message from Evin Prison in Tehran.
In this recording obtained by CBS, Reza appeals to the U.S. government to get help for him and other Americans detained in Tehran's Evin Prison, notorious for its harsh conditions.
Even if treating our diseases is a big demand, it would have at least asked the Iranian authorities to reduce not all the physical pressure and mental torture against us.
Valizadeh survived the Israeli bombing of Evin last June. When the war began 3 months ago, all contact was cut off, according to his lawyer, Ryan Fahey.
A wrongfully detained American journalist is sitting in Evin Prison and can't even leave the walls of that prison for medical treatment. And that's very difficult for Reza to reconcile President Trump's statements that we're going to bring Americans home.
Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps arrested Valizadeh in 2024. He was sentenced to 10 years for, quote, collaborating with a hostile government. He's one of 6 Americans detained by Iran. Secretary of State Marco Rubio designated him and 61-year-old Cameron Hekmati as wrongfully detained, essentially arrested for being an American. Valizadeh wonders why America returned the crews of detained Iranian vessels.
The U.S. government could have demanded our exchange in return.
CBS News has learned that none of the detained Americans will be released as part of the truce being negotiated by the U.S. and Iran.
Now, a Trump administration official did tell me that they're very closely tracking Reza's case, along with that of 5 other Americans who are held in Iran, either in the prison or under exit bans, and they're trying to get him out. But it's important to share with you, Major, that my reporting is their plan is to first end the fighting and then deal with the hostages later. And I asked the White House why they didn't request a goodwill gesture. Just release the Americans, and then we'll talk about other concessions in these follow-on negotiations. And I was told by that official that the details of the diplomacy are too sensitive to answer that particular question.
Margaret, let me ask you about another topic. The president gave an interview today to the Wall Street Journal in which he talked about someone he has named to be the acting head of the Director of National Intelligence, Bill Pulte, who has another job with the administration overseeing Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. So we were doing 2 jobs at the same time. No experience, military or intelligence, for Bill Pulte. But the president wants him, for however long he's in this position, to begin firing people, to trim that agency down. How do you evaluate all that?
Well, I know.
What are you hearing?
Well, it is one of those stories that is the talk of Washington.
Today,
absolutely, because he has no national security experience, and based on the pattern of behavior he had at the helm of FHFA, what he did is he used that office to go into personal information, mortgage information of people that the president perceived to be political enemies, and then used that, whether it was the chair of the Federal Reserve or others. And so there is that question, why is he specifically suited, since he has no national security experience, could not be able to get Senate confirmation? Why, for even a short period of time, do you need him there? To oversee the 17 other intelligence agencies. And so there's a lot of speculation of what could he do in that position.
Even in a short period of time.
That in a short period of time that could perhaps mirror some of the behaviors we saw at FHFA. So there's a lot of sort of catastrophizing around this, but it is also by fellow Republicans who are saying, excuse me, what are you doing here? We're going to talk about this on Face the Nation on Sunday with Jim Himes, who is the vice chair of the House Intelligence Committee. The Democrats on those committees have voiced opposition. The Republicans, like Tom Cotton, who is the chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, are taking sort of a different tack here, just saying, well, you know what, we might not need that agency at all. Maybe you could do away with the Director of National Intelligence, which was a job that was created after 9/11 to have some oversight of the CIA and try to pull together information.
From a possibly weaponized Director of National Intelligence.
It is an entirely different topic.
But I know you'll pursue both on Sunday.
And we are very familiar with that tactic to redirect conversations.
Indeed.
Yes.
Margaret Brennan, always a pleasure. Thank you. Quick reminder, tune in to Face the Nation this Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Margaret will have an interview with, as she just mentioned, Jim Himes, Democrat, Ro Khanna, Democrat, and Don Bacon, Republican.